Welcome over to Automotive World, everyone. I'm your host for the mystery, and we have some huge news. This is regarding both Volkswagen, Scout, and Rivian. We have some news. You may have seen that Volkswagen has a stake in Rivian. They're making a deal, and that yesterday, an announcement of a $5 billion investment from Volkswagen into the Rivian company. We're going to talk about this, and this might actually turn into a very small podcast segment because this is really big for a lot of reasons. First of all, Volkswagen here has always been trying to expand their presence. We know Volkswagen here already has some EVs, and they've been pretty late to the market with their EVs. We know Volkswagen is heavily investing, bringing back the Scout brand as its own bespoke brand, and they're going to be full EV. And now that we have a $5 billion investment in Volkswagen, this doesn't just expand Volkswagen's portfolio in terms of companies they own and have investments in, but this can mean a lot of good things. We do know, like I said, $5 billion. What we have here from the deal, and we have the article here from Motor One, from Christopher Smith. Go check out his article. I'll have it in the link down below as always. He has a really good article on here. The two companies are going to work together on software development for EVs. VW is going to be fronting Rivian $1 billion right off the bat, and the additional $4 billion will come later. However, we have the ultimate question here, which is a major question. What about Scout Motors? Now, they talk about here Scout and Rivian. Scout is developing an electric pickup and SUV, whereas Rivian, obviously, they already have that. We've already seen with the newer Rivians, their smaller SUVs being the R2 and the R3. We have seen the strategy of Rivian, but VW's head of strategy and finance communications, Christopher Haas, tells that the preceding plans with Scout will remain. So despite this deal, they're still going all in on Scout because VW is buying up land. They have just started building their own factory. They're going to have their own showrooms. They have their own road and everything named for it. VW has spent a lot of money and a lot of resources already, and VW is still all in on the Scout brand. That is still going to remain unchanged. Nothing is changing that. However, they have the joint plans with Rivian. Now, this is really big for a number of reasons. Obviously, for Scout, this is all new. They're bringing the model back. They're building an all-new factory. They're not using the MEB or many of Volkswagen's ICE vehicles, the MQB architecture. This is an all-new architecture. Everything from the Scout is going to be ground up. So, we're not going to have any sharings of powertrains, motors, nothing like that. But we've seen here with the Rivian partnership, Rivian showing out the R2 and the R3 recently. We know especially one of the biggest things with Volkswagen EVs, and a lot of the Volkswagens in general, and just coming honest, I'm a VW owner. I've owned multiple of them. The software has always not been that great. And one of the things that really put Rivian on the map versus other EV startups and really showed us that Rivian not only has promise, but Rivian can actually make this work, is that when Rivian came out, a lot of the other startups, EVs, whether it was Lordstown, whether it was Nikola, and all these other ones, they didn't have good design. They did not have good quality at all. And the biggest thing that Tesla has had, which you can argue maybe some are maybe even doing better now, Tesla has always had very good software. And when Rivian came to the market, we saw a vehicle that was relatively a little bit more on the expensive side, but when you look at it now, pretty competitively priced, great powertrains, great design, amazing build quality. Like when Rivian came to the market, and even now, as a company that was never making cars, they were doing better build quality than OEMs that have been making cars for over 100 years. But they had phenomenal software, and it was built from the ground up, and that was one of the biggest things that also allowed Tesla to get an advantage, especially with the charging network. The fact that Volkswagen isn't touching Rivian in terms of the vehicle, right? In terms of the powertrain, in terms of the motor. The fact that they're not saying, oh, hey, well, the Scout and the Art, and things like that, the pickup truck and the SUV, we're just going to make it. They're not doing that. But what they are doing is investing $5 billion, $1 billion right off the bat. And right now, that is just for software. And Rivian, for not only just an OEM, a car maker in general, but especially for an EV automaker, they have some of, if not literally, the best, most polished, most stable software in the business. And I'm not saying, like, I am a Rivian fan, but I'm not saying this, like, as an owner or bias or anything, because I don't own a Rivian. I've seen them. I've never owned one. I'm not in the price bracket to own one at all, so, but their software, no matter who you are, they have legitimately good software, and they've only been improving it over time. So obviously, we know $1 billion is off the bat for the software, right? There's $4 billion left. Now, we don't know what VW is going to do with the rest of that $4 billion, but the fact that they're saying they're not going to, mingle the two brands like that, is there a chance they could maybe, make a collaboration on the model? Absolutely. But $1 billion, and for software, not only for Rivian, this comes at a time where we're looking at Tesla. We're looking at Fisker, the biggest one. We have done so many videos on them. I've only seen a Karma a few times in my life. I actually saw one yesterday, but I think everybody in the world knows about Fisker. Everybody's done a video. Even people who don't know about cars have done a video about Fisker. Where the automotive industry is and where the EV industry is, and given what Rivian is trying to do with the new R2, the R3, those affordable models coming out in about 2 to 3, maybe 4 years time, depending on usually how EV landscape is, we know that Rivian is a small company, and they have a lot of interest. And with all these other EVs, even mainstream ones like Tesla and things, that Tesla's not going under, but they're definitely struggling. They're not doing as good as they were in the last few years, and a lot of these EV makers going under. This could not be a better time, not only for Volkswagen to invest, but for Rivian to get $5 billion of investment. That is really, really huge. That shows investors, shareholders, that, hey, we're building vehicles people are interested in. We have vehicles. We have technology. Other companies, the most successful automotive manufacturers in the world, are interested in. The fact that Volkswagen, because when you have a company like Volkswagen or a Honda, a Toyota, when somebody like that invests in you, that's a big thing. At that point, it's $5 billion a lot of money. I'm not going to say it's not. But at that point, it's not even about the money, but it's about who is investing in you. It's about the name. Because that name, Volkswagen investing in Rivian, when they're also, owning Scout, and obviously all the other brands that Volkswagen and Porsche have under the umbrella, that is going to bring in so many more brands, so many more companies that are going to want in and come and see and be like, okay, this isn't just a fad. This isn't just like, oh, this isn't just, this is a stable company. This is a sustainable company. And the name is just going to do so much more than the money. And this is a great deal because VW needs help with their software. They do. And the ICE vehicles, they need help. The EVs, they need help with the software. Now, Volkswagen on here talks about not wanting to, intermingle the models. And I get that. But this also has more benefits, not only for VW, but especially for Rivian. Rivian is going to be sharing their software. They're going to have more access to engineers. They're going to see other companies want to invest in them. But the biggest thing with R2 and R3, these are going to be big models for Rivian. We know Rivian is trying to bring these models, some of them starting at 40, some of them about around 60, let's say. This partnership with Volkswagen trying to expand on EVs, with them building Scout, they don't necessarily need to do a collaboration on a product. I think they could, and that would be really, really good. But the fact that Volkswagen is they're building factories. Volkswagen is the type of company that has the labor, has the resources to help Rivian bring newer models into mass market. Be able to do them quickly, with quality, with, not waiting 2, 3, 4 years. This is really, really big. That can save both companies a ton of money. And they talk about that here. Through the cooperation, they're going to bring the best solution, which obviously that's, every company says that, right? But they're going to, they're going to bring the best solutions to our vehicles faster at a lower cost, said VW Group CEO Oliver Bloom. And, they talk about it here. Their interest of their brands is strong, and they have iconic products, and they do. Scout is an iconic brand. Volkswagen is an iconic brand. They have iconic products. And Rivian is an iconic brand. They have iconic products. When you see a Rivian, it has a different look. It has a different feel and a different quality. And so the fact that this is going to help out both companies. And this is the type of deal where Rivian is going to get something out of this. They're going to be able to build their vehicles quicker and better. Volkswagen is going to be able to make their vehicles better. This is, like I said, this is something that this can lead to further investment. If you're Rivian, this is a really, really big sign. Because like I said, it's not just the money. It's not just $5 billion, because there's a lot of automakers that have $5 billion. There are, right? There are. But it's the name, and it's the size of Volkswagen. Like if you had, if you had Mazda invest $5 billion in you, that's a lot. $5 billion is a lot of money. Mazda is a very, they're an iconic company. They know how to make great cars. But if it was just Mazda investing, not Toyota with their investment models, but just Mazda investing, Mazda is a relatively still small company. They don't have the size and as many resources and things to build more factories and to scale up production and help get cars quicker to the market. Volkswagen is, arguably the biggest car company in the world. They own the most brands. And when you think of the biggest car companies in the world, you think of Volkswagen, you think of Toyota, you think of Honda, you think of Mercedes and BMW. These are brands that, it's not even about the products, but it's the size. The size of the brand, the amount of vehicles in the portfolio, the amount of infrastructure that they have, the amount of labor, the amount of factories and the production that they can output. This is honestly a great, great deal for both of them. Because if it's Rivian, hey, people like our stuff, they're going to want to keep investing. You have got money. You have now some cash flow to work with. It's awesome. This can, help you bring your vehicles quicker to market. As does VW Group CEO Oliver Bloom say. the software. And Volkswagen has acknowledged this, and I know this. Like I said, I am a multiple-time VW owner. The software on VWs generally just doesn't tend to be good. I hate to say it. I hate to say it as a Volkswagen fan and owner. It doesn't tend to be good. It's just not good. And the fact that Rivian has great software, and I truly mean great software. You ask any automotive reviewer, ask, any software reviewer, any computer reviewer, any tech reviewer who's used a Rivian, their software is, if not the best in the business, the best in the business. So the fact that Volkswagen is going to be able to now take from Rivian software, put it in their vehicles, huge, huge, huge for Volkswagen. Like I said, this is great for both ventures, and keep in mind that $1 billion off the bat is just for the software development together on electric vehicles. So the fact that Rivian has more access to more engineers, more labor, can make better software. There's still $4 billion to come later on, so who knows? Maybe we will see a Volkswagen Scout, a Rivian, a mashup. Maybe we'll see it. Who's to say that we won't see it? It's possible. Or maybe that extra $4 billion will be for more software. Maybe it will be for a larger stake in Rivian ownership, and maybe they will build some joint factories together. Maybe they'll develop some platforms together. Who is to say? We know that they're not trying to do that right now. But who's to say? And if anything, this isn't just great for VW and their electric vehicles. This is great for Scout. This is going to be, a brand of VW. Because think about it. Scout's been gone for a long time. They've been gone for a really, really long time. They have great design. But the biggest thing with VW's EVs is the software. And if Volkswagen's going to bring this back, like they're bringing it back. They're building factories and everything. First impression is always the best impression. It is, truly. Whether it's a job interview, whether it's presidential election like we just saw yesterday. First impression is the most impression. You're always going to make a good impression every other time, but first impression really is the most important one. The fact that Volkswagen and Rivian can develop software together jointly, and Volkswagen can bring this to the Scout, that is going to amplify and kickstart the Scout brand. This is something that's going to be extremely, extremely huge. This is a great deal overall. This is a great deal for Volkswagen. This is a great deal for Rivian. And nobody's talking about this, but this is a great deal for Scout. Even if Rivian and Scout don't do a vehicle together. The fact that the biggest thing on an EV is software. It's a computer. The biggest thing on a computer is software. Electric motors, we've already mastered it. They last forever. They pretty much do. There's very little, no maintenance, brushless motors and things. We know how electric motors are. We're not worried about the motors. The two biggest things, though, on an EV are the battery and the software. And software is always going to get better, too, but battery tech, we're still going to have to wait a while. And who knows, we may not reach the limits. Maybe we'll reach the limits of science with batteries, but the one thing that we really can control, that we know as humans, because we already, there's some people who do software really well, and there's some people who don't. But the most important thing for an EV is software. If there's no software, those electric motors are no good. If there's no software, that battery is no good. It's software. And when you put it all together, you've got the size, the finance, the cash flow, the logistics, the capacity to build a Volkswagen, the experience of Volkswagen, plus what Rivian has been able to do with some of, if not the best software in the business. And then you have Scout. who is, this is going to be very big for VW. I think, Scout, there's definitely going to be a little bit of competition between the two, but I do think probably Rivian is going to stay more so as the premium brand. The fact that, though, you have 3 brands which you can do different things with, this is really, really huge. Because this is a win for everyone. Somebody's going to make better vehicles. Somebody's going to get cash flow. I mean, this is, like I said, this is just a big thing for everyone. That is going to do it for now. Let me know what you guys and girls think down below. Like I said, I don't see Volkswagen and Rivian doing a partnership, like in terms of actually building a car. VW is not really building small cars for America. Rivian is bringing some smaller models over, but I don't think necessarily that's what Volkswagen is trying to do with their models. I do think lineup-wise between 3 brands, there definitely is, I think there is definitely going to be probably some confusion. I can already kind of see it a little bit. But a lot of times we see it too, even with confusion, car companies do just fine. A lot of times car companies have so many models of a car and they still sell pretty well. So that stuff isn't, worry about that later on. But let me know what you guys and girls think down below this. Who won this deal? Who got the best part of the deal? Is it Scout? Is it Volkswagen? Or is it Rivian? Is it all 3? Or maybe is it somehow none of them? Let me know what you guys and girls think down below. That is going to do it for now. Like always, thanks for watching, everyone.